Hey guys, Josh from soccerreviewsforyou.com, bringing you my review plus on-feet video of the Nike Hypervenom Phantom 2 in the latest Dark Lightning Pack colorway. Now included with the shoes is a couple of extras. The first is this little tag right here that lets you know that the finish printed on the bottom of the sole plate, that little crackle graphic, will wear off over time. It won't affect the performance of the shoe. That's something we'll talk about a little bit later in the video. They also include a string bag that has all the matching colors to the shoe itself, black, with blue strings and Volt Yellow Nike branding on either side. And of course you get the shoes right here, which I think look really, really unique. It's a little bit of a change up as far as the graphic is concerned to previous Hypervenom colorways, and I think they look really, really good. So in today's video, we're gonna be taking a closer look at the colorway itself. We're gonna talk tech specs, take a look at the weight, as well as take a look at how these things fit and feel on feet. So if you are interested in learning more, please stick around and watch the entire video. If you're interested in a pair of these for yourself, there'll be a little pop-up on screen, or you can click the very first link down below. That'll take you to the review page on my website, where you'll find buy it now links with exclusive SR4U coupon codes, where you'll be able to pick these guys up below their normal $275 retail price. So again, if you're interested in a pair, a little pop-up on screen, first link down below, go ahead and check it out. And with that being said, let's get right into the review. To start things off, let's take a closer look at the colorway. Now this being part of the Dark Lightning pack from Nike, you maintain the black base and the white swooshes. With that being said, you get a modified variation of the standard Hypervenom graphics, at least on the upper. So you still get that zigzag pattern with the crackle at the base in Volt Yellow, but you can see they've incorporated this interesting kind of line pattern where it does kind of level out to the standard pattern there in black and Volt Yellow, but then the lines continue into kind of this almost flared effect paramount blue color, and then eventually transition into like a gloss black on the matte black base for the upper and run all the way across the forefoot and midfoot area. So it's kind of a cool little extra detail that you wouldn't necessarily find on other colorways of the Hypervenoms. I think it looks quite good. Let me know what you guys think though down below in the comment section. The bottom, as you can see, is Volt Yellow in color with the black crackle pattern. That is the material, or I guess finish, that will wear off over time. Although based on my experience, it's not something that necessarily wears away all that quickly. It really depends on the surface you're using them on. These of course being made for natural grass with the firm crown variation. You get the hyper orange Nike swoosh there at the bottom. And then like I mentioned earlier, the white accents in the Nike swoosh on the front and back of the shoe, your Hypervenom branding, the ACC and Nike Skin branding right there on the heel, and then the actual collar itself. The mid layer is that paramount blue, same thing with the blue here at the top and internally on the collar, whereas the rest of it, as you can see, is all black. Same thing goes for the laces. So let me know what you guys think of these down below in the comment section. Do you like how they look? Why or why not? And with that being said, let's move on to the tech specs so we can learn a little bit more about the overall performance. When it comes to performance, the Phantom 2 is a really, really solid option. For the sake of this video, we're gonna go over the basic tech specs that you should know if you're interested in a pair of these. But if you do wanna learn a little bit more, or you just wanna see the shoes in action, I'll leave a little pop-up on screen to my playtest for the Finish and Phantom 2 variations of this shoe. So if you haven't seen that video already, be sure to go ahead and check that out. Now with this shoe, the upper is called Nike Skin. Now I know that can be a little bit confusing knowing that we now have a Nike Skin top layer on the Flyknit, Superfly 5, and Obra 2. That refers to simply the polyurethane top layer, which you still get on this Nike Skin upper, but this is kind of the original Nike Skin, if you will. We saw it originally on the Phantom 1. They transitioned back to this upper on the Phantom 2, and essentially it is a honeycomb-based mesh. You can see it within the texturing of the upper, a smooth synthetic suede liner that's very, very thin on the inside, and then the polyurethane top layer on top of that honeycomb mesh. So the end result is a material that's quite thin, has some good flexibility to it, but at the same time, because of the kind of more open padded mesh material as the base layer, you get a thin but slightly padded sensation on the ball that's also going to be a little bit more structured than what you're going to get from something, say, a Superfly 5 with its Flyknit upper. So a lot of people like to compare this and the Superfly 5, rightfully so. The Superfly does come across as being a little bit thinner in general, and I guess softer as well, where this is going to be a little bit firmer in terms of how it feels against your foot, a little bit thicker in terms of the touch that it provides on the ball, and a little bit more structured with the more heavily influenced flywire design here in terms of the structure they've implemented. So you do have flywire cables that run from the base of the sole into the lacing system. And you can see it's a little bit more significant than what you find on the Superfly or the Obra 2 for that matter. Runs through the medial side as well. So when you pull the laces tight, you're really going to find that this shoe holds your foot in place, locks it down very, very nicely. And it's just a nicely structured upper while still maintaining a good level of flexibility and just general comfort. So if you're looking for a very responsive sensation, you really can't go wrong with either the Mercurials or the Hypervenoms, at least the top end models. It really is just a matter of what type of feel that you're looking for. If you want the thinnest possible feel, the Mercurial may be the way to go. Whereas if you want something that's thin but not overly thin, maybe something like the Phantom 2 or Finish is worth a look. The finish on the surface is more of a matte finish on this particular shoe. Not a lot of extra grip on the ball, but it will have a little bit more of a grippy sensation, again, in comparison to something like a Mercurial. So that's worth keeping in mind. And then, of course, ACC, all conditions control, acting as your wet control element, is a feature which you'll find on all the top-end models from Nike, but not something that really has any kind of major significant impact. You do have an off-centered lacing system, something that again does kind of separate this from the Mercurial lineup, where the laces are pushed slightly to the lateral side of the shoe, giving you a little bit of a cleaner surface when striking the ball, which is something that a lot of people do tend to prefer over a central lacing system. Running through the middle, being that this is the Phantom 2, instead of a tongue, you have elasticated Flyknit that basically just fills in the gap. It doesn't wrap your foot entirely, just cuts off basically on the other side of the lace holes themselves and then flows into the collar. So Phantom 2, you do get the mid-cut aspect, the Flyknit collar. No real performance benefit to this. It changes up the fit in the heel ever so slightly, but again, it's there more so for looks. Not something that has any ankle support, not something that, like I said, has any performance benefit whatsoever. It's just something that they offer as an option. If you don't necessarily want the collar, the Hypervenom Finish is pretty much the exact same shoe with a standard low cut, which is my personal preference. But again, your preferences may be a little bit different from mine. One's not better than the other. They're just a little bit different in the heel area. You have an internal plastic heel counter. The heel liner is a smooth synthetic leather with a decent amount of padding. Insole, fully removable. I'll give you guys a quick look at that. It features a mesh liner on top, and it's made from kind of an ortholite style material, very similar to what you're going to find on the Mercurials, but a little bit thinner, I would say. And then moving on to the bottom, you're going to find a combination of nylon and P-backs for the sole plate itself. Nylon for the sole plate that has a little bit of stiffness to it, and then P-backs for the actual stud plate, which has the studs themselves. So a little bit stiff out of the box, but it does get a lot more flexible as you wear it in. And as far as the stud pattern is concerned, this is the firm ground variation. All conical studs, as you can see, but a very similar layout to what you're going to find from the Mercurial line. So because of the conical shaped studs versus bladed studs, not quite as aggressive as Mercurials, but the conical stud shape does allow for a little bit more freedom to twist and pivot when your foot is planted. And overall, it's still a pretty aggressive stud pattern, one that a lot of people do tend to like quite a lot. I personally don't have any issues with it. I'd be happy to wear this on pretty much any shoe. It gets the job done on firm natural grass. And if you're looking for kind of a good combination of, I guess, classic and modern performance from a stud pattern itself, this does offer that pretty well. So overall, no issues with the stud pattern. And again, the shoe is a pretty interesting package that you can't really get from anything else out there at the moment. So one last time, the Phantom 2 and the Finish, one isn't better than the other. It really is just a matter of whether you want the mid-cut aspect or a standard low cut. That's a matter of preference, but again, both of them very, very solid options. In regards to weight, the Phantom 2 is a relatively lightweight boot. For the sake of this video, I'm going to weigh them for you today in real time using this scale. Keep in mind this is a brand new pair in a size 9 US. I'm going to throw them on the scale, and you can see that they weigh in at 7.9 ounces, the equivalent of 223 grams. So just under the 8 ounce mark. That's comparable to something like a high-end Ace model from Adidas. The Obra 2 is also in a very similar weight range, although it's ever so slightly lighter. But nonetheless, it still is going to provide a relatively lightweight feel on your foot, especially considering how well structured the upper is and how well it wraps your foot. But with that said, if you do want a very similar feel, very similar performing shoe in a slightly lighter form factor, the Hypervenom Finish with its low cut design is going to be almost a full ounce less. So that is definitely worth keeping in mind if you are having a hard time deciding between the Finish and the Phantom 2. All right, so here is a look at the Phantom 2s on feet. On my left foot, I have the stock black laces that come with the shoes, and on my right foot, I have a pair of neon yellow reflective SR4U replacement laces. If you're interested in a pair of replacement laces for yourself, the website to go to is www.sr4ulaces.com. You you find a little pop-up on screen as well as a link down below in the description that'll take you directly to the website. So if you're interested in a pair, be sure to go ahead and check that out. Now in terms of how these things fit and feel on feet, they're relatively comfortable out of the box. The Nike Skin Upper has a decent amount of flexibility to it, although it does get significantly softer and more flexible as you break them in. As far as the Flywire cables are concerned, when you pull the laces tight, you really do notice that they do a big job in terms of holding your foot and securing it in place. So that does add a lot of structure to the upper without adding any kind of significant stiffness, which is definitely a good thing. And as far as the mid-cut aspect of the shoe, it does have some quirkiness to the fit in the heel section. So it's really important that you kind of take your time with the break-in process. Don't wear them straight into a game or straight into a free kick session. But again, as long as you take your time, you shouldn't have too many issues in regards to breaking these things in. As far as width is concerned, it is a tighter fitting shoe, but certainly not along the lines of what you'll get from the Mercurial line. It definitely has more width in comparison to that. Nonetheless, as a tighter fitting shoe, if you have really wide feet, probably not the best option for you. Those Flywire cables, which run through the forefoot and midfoot area, are also going to restrict the stretching of the upper, so keep that in mind as well. But as long as you don't mind a tighter fit, I think these will fit most people. And as far as sizing is concerned, I'm wearing my usual size 9 US here, and the fit and length is absolutely perfect. So if you are looking to order a pair of these for yourself, I would strongly recommend going true to size in order to achieve the best possible fit. Alright guys, that is it for my review of the Dark Lightning Pack Nike Hypervenom Phantom 2. If you're interested in a pair of these for yourself, you can either click the first link down below or the little eye in the corner of the screen. That'll take you to the review page on my website, where you'll find buy it now links with exclusive SR4U coupon codes, where you'll be able to pick these guys up below their normal $275 retail price. If you have any questions regarding this shoe, leave them down below in the comments and I definitely will get an answer out to you. If you enjoyed today's video, found it helpful and informative, be sure to support it with a like. Subscribe if you haven't already for daily videos on all the latest and greatest soccer gear. You can find all of my social media information linked in the description as well. And other than that guys, hope you enjoyed today's video, and as always, thanks for watching.